Good morning again. Welcome back to our fourth episode, I believe it is. Is our fourth one already? Time is flying by. We are really kicking off this series to our fourth episode of Perfect Homes Live TV. Thank you for coming this morning, 8 a.m. here in Chiang Mai, and a lovely morning it is. Okay, I'm back here with
Paul.
Okay.
And I'm delighted to be back here. As Simon said, our fourth episode now. Monday morning here in Chiang Mai. Looking forward to a fantastic week. Hopefully renting lots, selling lots. Had a lovely weekend, some rain.
We had some lovely rain showers.
Yeah. Cooled it down a bit.
Lovely weather again. I got out for a ride yesterday, so that was amazing.
And it was the weather was beautiful yesterday, and it looks like it's continued today.
Excellent.
So looking forward to another fantastic episode.
Right, is this show for you? Well, that is the question. Are you looking to come here and rent a condo in Chiang Mai? Are you an owner of a property here in Chiang Mai? Are you just curious to learn more about property management and property rental services here in Chiang Mai? If so, this episode is for you, okay? Today we're going to talk about Perfect Homes property management services. I'll give you an overview of those and who they are for, okay? They are designed for the tenant and the owner, okay? We're also going to talk about the difference between the rental agent and the property management service, because this gets really blurred, okay? And a lot of people presume it's exactly the same roles. The agent does absolutely everything during a tenancy. And simply that's not the case. We have to understand they're two distinct roles. Perfect Homes is unique in Chiang Mai by offering the only fully professional property management service. Okay, there might be a few other people that do dabble in this service, but we are completely set up with a separate company to handle this. Okay, so any points before we start, Paul?
I would just say that you covered it pretty well there as an introduction, but we have I would say it's a pretty complex well, not complex, but as you say, a blurred topic, and it does differ from the West. A lot of people just assume that it's the same as in the States or the UK or Australia until it's clearly explained to them. And we have 10 years of experience in it now, and we have a full team of 6 or 7 people, full-time staff that are there just to take care on the property management side. I don't mean our rental agents, I mean a full property management team. And we're up to around 290 properties here now in Chiang Mai. Most of them are condos. So we have a lot of experience, and I would like to think that we do know what we're doing.
Yeah, and again, just talking about the, should we say, 6 or 7 people that we have full time on the property management, that is not also our network of tradesmen and people like that for the emergency needs, the jobs to be fixed and everything like that. So it's quite a large team that we have to organise for that. All right, so basically the first question is the property management side and our property management services. Who are they for? On the owner's point of view? Let's start with the owners, okay?
Yeah.
Who do you think our services are aimed for?
So the services are aimed for basically anyone that wants a hands-off, passive approach to owning a property and renting out a property here in Chiang Mai. We have a lot of foreign owners. Most of them are abroad, based in their home countries or abroad. But we have also expats who actually live here in Chiang Mai even, or Thailand, and they don't want to take care of anything. Okay, so they literally just want to receive the rent once a month, which is obviously what we do. So, but we are also getting more and more Thai owners on
Absolutely,
that point.
yes.
More and more Thais coming in, and realizing that, hang on, there's another option here available where they don't need to take care of tenants.
Yeah.
So one of our fastest growing areas of the business has, in the last, say, 2 years, has been property management for Thai owners.
Well, I think you've got to, while you're on that point, there's a very big difference for you investors out there. Or for property owners, there's a very big difference between investing and working your income in property as an investor, to having, people always think property are passive income. Property are only passive income if you're sitting back and not worrying about it. If you're sitting there dealing with all the stresses and the strains and the tenant calling you up to when you get midnight at night because there's a water leak or anything like that, that's not passive. You're actively earning that investment, which is fine as long as you accept that. I believe there's no issues with it. But you've got to realize, if you want a passive income, which a lot of people see property as, you have got to look for a property management company to stop the stresses and strains of property management. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Just selling a condo here in Chiang Mai to a younger guy who's in Europe.
Yeah.
And on the first Zoom call that I did with him, he said, number one, I don't want to have to travel to buy the property. He wants to diversify his portfolio. And he said all he wants, his number one goal of owning the property, is for it to be a passive income. He's happy to accept, say, 1 or 2% less on the return on investment as long as he has to do nothing. That's all he wants to do. So great, we can help with that. And he's literally just about to close on a deal now, and then it will come into our rental side. And we'll rent it out for him. We'll provide obviously the full management services, and then once a month, we'll be holding the money for him because he doesn't even have a Thai bank account yet. But when he's able to get here to set up a bank account in the future, I believe he plans to come on holiday whenever he can, then he'll have a bank account set up and then we can put it in there for him. And he plans to add to that with 2 or 3 more over the next few years.
Brilliant. So yeah, passive income versus active income. Okay, make sure you got it clear in your head which one you're after and which one you're comfortable with. There's also a couple more categories of people that should not manage their own property, and we're dealing with those people all the time. And they are, should we say, people that have a very personal feeling or are very emotionally attached to their property. We have, as the property management company, we have no personal feelings for that property as such. Our personal feelings are towards protecting our clients, our company and everything like that. But as the property itself, it's the same when we come in to value a property for sale or for rent, we have no personal attachment. If you're an owner and you've lived in the property, we see it all the time. What happens? Yeah,
you get emotionally attached to the property. As Simon says, you make decisions that I think you shouldn't do. You think about decisions too much, can be a common example. And we see you actually, when you have a hands-on approach with the tenant as an active owner, you can become emotionally that sounds a bit weird, but you can, let's say, have your judgment clouded because you've become friendly with the tenant. Okay, so
personal relationships with tenants.
Yeah, but you become friends with a tenant, and then something maybe you should be charging for, I'll let it slide, and so on and so on. We do get from people, I do get quite a few calls or emails from owners here in Chiang Mai that are looking after the property themselves. They know they're making decisions. But suddenly the tenant wants to leave, for example. He wants to break the contract,
and you're my friend now.
Yeah, well, you've been a nice, he's a nice guy, and then they're trying to find ways to return a deposit to them, and get asked for advice. And for us, it's an easy decision. They say, well, how do we just follow the contract. Yeah. We just follow the contract. Don't try and adjust for the contract because you're going to get yourself into, unfortunately, a bit of a muddle trying to do it. Can be done, and some people are able to actively manage the properties very well and be super nice about it, and that's great if you can do it. But from our point of view, our number one priority is to protect the owner's asset, which is what we're paid to do.
Yeah.
And we do that by making non-emotional decisions that follow the contract and follow our management agreement with the owner, and then follow the rental agreement that's signed with the tenant. And we do that in hopefully an efficient and effective way as possible.
Yeah. So again, emotions kick in when you own that property, and we see it all the time. And even if it's one of my own properties or one of Paul's own properties, you're for sure, you're attached to it. It's your baby. You want to protect it even tighter. I'm sorry, you can't let emotions run the property. Everybody owns the best property. Everybody's got the perfect property. Everybody's got the best location, everything like that. So everybody sees the best in their own property. We have to look at it from a market point of view, okay? So we can also, with management, property management services, we can advise on current rental rates.
Sorry, can I just interrupt there? Key point is what you say to me or to us is in a team is when it's your property, you will not be involved at all. Yeah. I mean, you're not really involved on a day-to-day side of that now anyway, but you make a particular point of, it's your tenant, it's your property. Nope, you don't want to be involved at all.
No, because I will make emotional decisions based on my income, my feelings towards the property and everything like that. So step back. I trust the company. Obviously, I have to trust the company.
Hopefully
I get it right. I trust that company to make a decision that is best for everybody. And sometimes it does cost me money to fix something or replace something. Maybe it could be fixed, maybe it could be this, but we're putting the tenant out. Maybe the fridge can go off for a repair for 2 weeks, but we can't afford to wait that long. That's not fair on a tenant. So rather than me using an emotional judgment, saying, it's all right, it's only a fridge, it's only 2,000 baht to fix or 10,000 baht to buy a new one, then my emotions tell me I want to go for the 2,000. But the reality is I need to take the best option for everybody, the property management company and the tenant. So I have to trust someone to make that decision for me, okay? Otherwise, my emotions kick in, my thoughts on my wallet kick in. It's not fair. It's an investment. Keep the tenant happy, the tenant will stay longer.
Yeah.
I get my return on my investment on my fridge freezer or whatever it is. It comes back, okay? And it also, from an external property management company, makes it easier for them to manage my property. So it's a win-win for everybody, all right? So we were jumping around a bit there, but yeah, if you want passive income or you don't want to deal with headaches from tenants or the emotional side and you want to maximize your rental returns, for real.
That's maybe just what you said earlier, you asked the question, who is it for? We should probably maybe answer the question, who's it not for?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's not for owners that want to be hands-on.
Yes.
That want to make those decisions, that want to not allow us to make the decisions for them, that want to double check what we're doing and so on and so on. If you are one of those owners, and there are owners, and that's absolutely fine. Everyone has their style. It's your asset, it's your investment. You can manage it how you see fit to manage it. But if you are one of those owners, then property management wouldn't be for you, because we are going to be making those decisions based on the contract, based on the prior signed agreements with you, the owner. So yeah, it's also not for everyone. But we are seeing more and more people taking up management services. Again, they want to focus on their core business or enjoy their time.
That's both of those, I think, is a very poignant point on that return on investment. Your time is already money. So if your income is just say 10,000 baht a month on that condo, for example, and it's costing you 2 or 3 days work in a month, your income's gone down to your return on zero, is gone. Okay, your return on investment has actually disappeared down to a very, very low percentage. Yes, it's fine if you call it your job. If you decide it's your tasks, if you've got lots of rooms and you want to self-manage, brilliant. And there is a lot of self-managing owners that we've worked with over the years.
Fantastic.
And they do an amazing job, okay? And they will still come back to us sometimes for a little bit of advice. Fair enough. But they manage their own units, they fix their own issues, they keep their own tenants happy, and they deal with it. And that's the direction they've chosen, okay? So I think, it's actually your choice, okay? Remember, we're also expanding our services, not just into condos now, we're also expanding into house management, pool villas, and so on. So if you are an owner and you've got a pool villa you want to take care of, we handle that, or a nice house and everything like that. But we will inspect properties, condos and everything like that to see if your property qualifies, okay? So please bear in mind, we do not offer our service to everybody. We do not offer our services everywhere in Chiang Mai. We do have a limited radius and we do have a limited team, so we have to make business decisions based on our knowledge and how well we can offer our services to your property, all right? Okay. Any more points on who the services are for before we move on to the tenants' ideas for it?
No, I just think to add to that, you said about we certainly do deal with a lot of active property owners here in Chiang Mai, and they choose to take care of themselves. Generally, say they have 2 or 3 properties, and they have their system set up, and they do an extremely good job. And they just want us to focus on one of the areas that the area that we do best, which is finding them a tenant. And once we've found them a tenant and set the tenant up into their property with the contract and the check-in and the inventory, then they're good to go. And they might come back for, as Simon says, from some advice, or if there was something they weren't quite sure about, and that's great. But they're not calling us in the middle of a contract to help them fix, a small issue and so on and so on. And so if that, there are many owners out there like that, and we're more than happy to find tenants for them. Yeah,
brilliant. Okay, right. So now before we focus on let's start with the tenant side, tenant's point of view. Why, we rent, should we say 80% of our rentals are not managed by Perfect Homes, or was it say a little bit?
No, it's because Perfect Homes have taken on so many managed properties in the last 2 or 3 years, or even more. The percent to managed to non-managed is now, it's more and more what we rent is managed. I think now it's about 70%, 30%.
Okay. Okay, so. But if a client comes in, a tenant comes in looking for a unit, we try to be very clear and distinguish between a managed property and a non-managed property. What's the difference for the tenant's point of view of choosing a managed property or a non-managed property?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of differences. And as Simon said, our agents, to be honest, as soon as the process starts of looking for a property, our agents are taught, and hopefully they put that across to the person looking for property as to whether the property is a managed or a non-managed property. Okay, because it's very important that the potential tenant finds out as soon as possible, because it will help them make their decision. More and more people, more and more tenants are saying, just show me Perfect Homes managed properties. So why is it important? Because you are going to be dealing only with Perfect Homes throughout, not just the search process, not just the check-in and the check-out, the whole way through. Pretty much, apart from if you're dealing with the front desk at the condo, for example, you are going to be dealing with only Perfect Homes. The big difference is if it's a non-managed property, after around check-in or at check-in, you will be passed over to the owner, and the owner will manage your tenancy, will manage the property themselves. They've made that decision to be doing that, and they will manage the whole way through, and they will be your point of contact, and they will be there at checkout. Well, Perfect Homes will also be there, but they will be the owner will be your point of contact. Perfect Homes will not be your point of contact throughout the tenancy. Okay, so that's the main difference. I think it's important to just say, does that mean, if there's any huge problems in the tenancy, a Perfect Homes nowhere to be seen? No. Okay, had one recently, and we had a phone call, and I just, it was quite a different issue, and I said, look, just CC us in on your email between the tenant. The tenant wanted to kind of not dispute, but clarify something. And we were there to clarify that, you know, the contract was followed, or to advise that they followed the contract. There was a party kind of looking to deviate slightly from the contract. They didn't know they were, but all it was that we were CC'd in. And that's, you know, there's not much we can do other than say just simply follow the contract.
Advise.
Yes.
Advise during contracts, okay?
And that's really, our advice is only really needed for large issues, or if someone's not sure, we might take an email.
Yeah. Okay. Again, we're very clear at the beginning, you know, we're not saying you have to take a managed contract. All it is making people aware of the situation that they're entering into.
Yes.
Because what we don't want is that as soon as they're in there saying, well, I can't talk to the owner, the contract's, the owner's Thai, I can't talk to him.
Get it a lot, yeah. So not just that, is they just don't realise.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, even before, if there's, you know, any foreign, they just think, the tenants just think that, well, that was who I dealt with, that was the agent. They don't realise that they're getting passed over. I think in a lot of countries, the agent is also the property manager all of the time.
Yeah.
So they're just, you know, people are just doing what they used to, even Thais.
Yeah.
Thais never realised there's property management services here, right? But that's changed. That is changing, and it's, as Simon says, important to people know all the way through.
But how do they deal with owners in other languages? It's quite simple, isn't it? Really. Google Translate, Line apps, everything like that now. Really do. Many owners also obviously speak English. You can learn Thai, we'll talk about that later. But obviously, you know, the first point of contact is the owner, and what we say is there's a great line is very common here as an app, just like WhatsApp, but it has an auto translate buttons and everything like that. So owners can translate directly from English to Thai and then back to Thai to English straight away, and you can communicate that way. Because don't forget, we're not just dealing with English and Thai. We're dealing with Chinese, Korean, Japanese, French, German, Spanish. Even we don't have people for all of those languages. I think we've got someone that speaks that are currently Japanese,
French,
and Paul's Spanish is brilliant.
Spanish, brilliant. Yeah.
Okay. So you know, we can't just say, oh, it's not fair that owner doesn't speak English, then we should manage it for them for free. We can't do that. We've got all these other languages. Or is it unfair on the owner that does speak English that we don't give him free management? It can't be done. So there are many ways to communicate. It's the same as when you go down to the building reception and you want to ask about where's your post. If they don't speak English, it's Thailand. They don't all speak English. Their English levels are not so great, or they're a bit nervous about speaking English. Google Translate, it's brilliant. You can talk into it now and it translates back.
I've seen people buy condos using Google Translate.
Yeah.
I've sold condos to people using Google Translate. I mean, it's, you know, it's, and I've seen people walk in and offer prices on Google Translate. It's, you know, it's absolutely fine.
It works, and we have to, like we said, we have to use it. If our tenants are, as we say, don't speak English well, we still have to use Google Translate. So it's no different. Okay, the owner's made the decision. Work with them in any means possible, which is generally that. Also, the reasons why, again, we spoke about this before when we talk about what we do and why we do it, is we can't be in the middle of 3, 4, 5 people. You know, people were sitting there going, oh, I want you to call the plumber for the owner. But we have to check. There's so many stages in the middle of that we just can't manpower up for that. Could you imagine if we rent in, should we say 60 or 70 condos a month, just say, and we have to fix all of these issues for free? We would be spending our entire time on the telephone chasing owners, tenants, plumbers, electricians, the building, everything like. It's just not feasible from a business point of view.
All that would happen would be our owners would, the properties that we manage would not be getting rented. So they would be saying, hang on a minute, why aren't you renting them?
We can't focus on marketing.
Well, we're focusing on dealing with problems for owners that we don't manage for. And then even the properties where we don't manage them, they'll be saying, well, again, what's the reason you haven't managed? What's the reason you haven't rented my property?
Yeah.
We pride ourselves on delivering the services we say we're going to deliver.
That's it.
If we say we're going to manage it, we'll manage it. If we say we're going to find a tenant and manage it, we'll find a tenant and manage it. We'll do our best to do that. And if it's purely we are just finding you a tenant, then we will do that. We, where there's blurred, we will then blurred, and we're getting dragged into situations that we're not meant to be in. We cannot achieve the results for owners to find them tenants.
That's it. Right, so let's go to the next step. Let's see whose responsibility is it, okay? Very quickly. This will help clarify a few points. Okay, let's start from the very beginning. Okay, whose responsibility is it, the real estate agents or the property managers, okay? Is it the property manager's responsibility to find you a room?
Sorry?
To find the room. Whose responsibility is it to find the incoming client a room?
The real estate agent.
Whose responsibility is it to find a client for an owner?
Real estate agent.
Real estate agent. We'll catch him out. We'll trick him in a minute.
Trick question here.
No, as a real estate agent, we work for the owner and the tenant. We're paid by the owner, but our job is to find people the property. Okay, whose responsibility is it generally here to do the contracts?
Real estate agent.
Okay, occasionally the property management side will do that. Our property management side does our property managed contracts.
Yes, and sometimes owners want to have their own.
Yeah.
But very, very rare.
Okay, so on one side, if it's non-managed, it's the real estate agent generally does the contracts in general cases. Inventories.
Sorry, so if an owner wants their own contract, do we check it as the real estate agent?
We can overview it, okay, but it's down to two parties to decide whether they accept that contract or not. We have a standard one, which we much prefer to work with because we've used it so many times. It's been tested in many, many different situations. It's been checked by our legal team many times. Any changes to it, if anyone changes our actual contract, it voids the kind of overview of the contract.
We will read it through, 1990. We see very few of these, but if an owner does want to use those, we will read it through. Generally, they're absolutely fine. There might be, and if a tenant is happy to sign that, that's fine. If in my experience, if it was, wow, what's going on here? This is that bad, where it would be so in favour,
owner.
I would say where it's one party can do a lot of stuff and another party can't do anything, and so on and so on. Then we would advise on that, and then it's up to the two parties to make that decision. But very, very rare.
Agreed. Okay, so
carry on with the quiz.
Carry on with the quiz. Question number 3. Okay, we've checked them in. We're present at the check-in. The rental agent is present at check-in, done their bits. Okay, so the tenant's now comfortably in the room. Okay, and the tenant. Here's a catch one. Internet, property manager, owner, or
tenant.
Tenant. The internet installing your own is the tenant. I'm sorry. Very few units have their own internet in there, and we always advise installing your own. Okay, high speed. If the building internet you're using the building internet, who do you go and see if the internet goes down?
The building.
The building, good.
You're going to get me soon. Yeah.
Okay, that is just to stop everybody calling us up. Even if we manage the unit, we do not include in our contracts building Wi-Fi. If there is building Wi-Fi and it's free, it's over to you. But if you choose to use the building Wi-Fi, don't call us when the building Wi-Fi is down.
To be honest, don't call anyone when any internet's down, apart from the internet company.
Yeah.
Okay. We do get tenants say, "Oh, can you set up the internet for me?" No. Okay. And the simple reason is that it's because we have no control over it. We provide English-speaking numbers, and they provide a very efficient service.
It's amazing.
It's brilliant. Yeah, it really is. They'll be there roughly. When you ask for them to be there, they'll be there the next day or 2 or 3 days. They switch it on. They do everything they need to do. Just don't call us on a Sunday morning when 3BB is not working, because there's absolutely nothing we can do. If I have signed it, and every time if they're down, a few times a year they go down, get a text message. It's brilliant. I'm brilliant.
And does it say, have you tried turning it on and off again? I'm trying to get that in.
So it tells us when they're down. And once I was doing a bit of gardening, doesn't happen often, and I went through the cable, right? So I went through the cable internet didn't work. 2 hours later, they were there, replaced the cable. Obviously, I went to pay because it was my fault that I'd gone through the cable. They wouldn't take any money.
I hope you tipped them.
Of course, of course they did. But sign it. I mean, I've
the services.
just personally found from an experience point of view, the customer service from Signet has been. But I know certain areas. I think your area, Signet's not so good, right? It all depends.
Yeah, again, location based and speeds and everything like in different areas. But we're diversifying to your own home property management services. You should not be gardening with shears. Okay. So during the tenancy, okay, there's a water leak. Who do you call?
Well, firstly, you need to turn it off.
Oh, good point. To turn it off straight away.
Turn off your water, to turn off the water as soon as possible. And then, depending on what time of the day it is, call your property manager.
Property manager, okay. Your light bulb doesn't work.
Replace it yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, generally speaking, please change your own light bulbs. They're not hard in this day and age. If you don't want, the property manager...
Then they usually the front office will have someone.
Front office.
You can pay someone to come up and change it.
Your light bulbs.
Change the light bulbs. And then failing that, property manager.
Okay. Something generally breaks through wear and tear in your condo, aircon or anything like that. Who do you call?
Property manager.
Property manager. Aircon's packed up.
Property manager.
Okay, everything like that. If it's broken, aircon services, you can call your property manager or call the company direct. Fixing aircon is in virtually every condo here. If you rent a condo for 6 months, you're responsible for cleaning the aircon during at the 6 months. But if it goes wrong, before your responsibilities start on the cleaning, it is the property management's responsibility to work with that aircon, the property manager's responsibility.
We get that question quite a lot from our agreements, and it's 10 years of experience of kind of seeing how contracts work for why we have that in there. The tenant is only responsible for the cleaning. As long as they undertake the cleaning, no other aircon issues can be put onto them in our agreement.
Failing to clean your aircon and then the aircon packs up, then you can be held responsible. So be warned, it's very cheap, it's worth doing. And don't claim that the aircon, I haven't used it for 6 months, I shouldn't clean it.
No,
An aircon standing still is not good either. It still needs to be serviced. It should be run once or twice a week just to test it out, but obviously we can't enforce that. But you will still need to clean an unused aircon during that tenancy.
700 baht, or unfortunately aircon problems, when they pack up can be quite pricey, 3,000 or 4,000 maybe. You don't want those coming on to, you don't want to give an opportunity that maybe the owner will say, well, where's your cleaning receipt? Okay, just take care of it. It's the easiest way for you as a tenant.
Okay. Your electricity goes off during the day. What do you do?
Wait.
check. First of all, check your fuse box. Don't get on the phone. If you're in a condo, check whether the building's got electricity.
Ask your neighbour.
Ask your neighbour. Let's check your lifts still work, and then if there's still a major issue and it's in the room, you call the property manager. Okay. It's not the real estate agent's job, it's the property manager's job. Are there any other main habits that we have to be called in? Main issues?
I would say I'll give one back to you now. You're going to be a few days late on paying your rent.
Yes, okay. Obviously you call your mum and ask her to borrow money. That's what I would do. Okay,
failing that,
you call the property manager and let them know. Okay, most managers are very fair. Delays happen. Delays are inevitable, especially here with international banking and so on like that, where people are sending money from overseas. If you know your rent's going to be late for whatever reason, even if it's just been a bad month, you need a couple more days, let your property manager know. Okay. If you have paid your rent, who do you send your receipt to?
Your property manager.
Property
we
manager.
Get quite a lot at the start sometimes of agreements. If people are unsure, we get sent receipts. Oh, please pass this on to the property the owner, which is also the property manager. Just send it directly.
Send it direct. There is no need for you to send it to us to send to them, for them to tell us that you've paid it to send to the tenant. Make life easy, send it direct to the property manager.
And always keep receipts All of our
Always.
contracts say that.
Yeah.
There's no other issues, but just in case.
Yeah, no, keep all your receipts, keep everything, okay. Come on, any other ones we're missing here that we just a bit grey? If there's an issue during the contract between the tenant and the property manager.
Do you mean a disagreement or a potential disagreement?
Potential disagreement.
You would contact the party direct, and that would probably be a situation where, depending on what the disagreement was, you could CC the agency in, just so they're aware of it. But generally, in disagreements, apart from explaining to follow the contract, there isn't much that we can really do. Okay, the actual, unfortunately, if it escalates, it's between the police or legal parties, depending on what it is.
There is nothing we can do.
There's nothing we can do. We would, if it escalates and there's no resolution between the two parties, then we would say you need to get legal advice.
Contractual issues between, should we say, owner-managed properties and the tenants are 99% of the time emotionally based. Okay, you've had a falling out, you've had a disagreement, both parties or a party does not want to follow the contract, whether it's the owner or the tenant. They don't want to follow the contract now. They've lost the straight thinking and they've gone emotionally based, and then they start ranting and raving at each other, and this just escalates and it becomes I can't use those words, it will bleep out on Facebook or something like that. It just becomes a mess, okay? And then all we can do is say, everybody calm down, follow the contract. What does the contract state? What are you fighting over? Why? Whose responsibility is it as per the contract? And then work it through logically, not emotionally. Okay, so we can't get involved. Legal issues with the room, criminal cases. We've had people arrested in rooms and everything like that. We can't be responsible for any actions of tenants and stuff like that, and nor can the owner be. So that's the situation. So very quickly, TM30. Who registers the TM30?
The property manager.
Okay, that's the one where we register you for your location, or the property manager registers you where you live in Chiang Mai. Legally binding and still needed for all visa applications and anything you're doing with immigration. Make sure your property manager has registered your TM30 with no exceptions. Do not let it go.
And don't ask them not to do it, because they legally have to do it.
Yes. Okay.
Also, just on that as well, we do get a lot of tenants worrying about deposits coming back to them from Perfect Homes management or from owners themselves. Very, 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 very rare. And that there will be an issue. And in my experience, unfortunately, sorry tenants, usually the tenant is in the wrong. And there's some people tell me about horror stories, read some horror stories on the internet.
Read between the lines.
Yeah, there's two sides to every story. I'm not saying that there's no unhonest owners, but I would say that it's extremely rare, and the chances are that the tenant, for example, is in breach of the contract, is trying to break the contract, or has not followed part of the agreement. Very, very rare is someone, and when I say that, I mean, I've seen it, what we've seen once in 5, 6 years, twice in 5 or 6 years.
Dishonest a couple of times in a few years. But there's another point to that. Hence, you should use a reputable company. Okay, there are other good companies in Chiang Mai. Obviously not as good as Perfect Homes, but there are other good companies in Chiang Mai. And generally speaking, if we have a problem with that owner, even if it's an unfair dispute where we see that owner as trying to be unfair with people, I'm sorry, we will remove him from our listings. Okay. Then if you choose to rent, you say someone finds him direct, this is why renting direct from an owner can cause issues. If you choose to rent direct, you have no backup, you have no witnesses, you have no clear contracts, or should we say tested contracts if you've signed with the owner direct. We will remove from our listings any owners that we feel treat their tenants in any way is shaped unfairly.
Or not following the contract.
Same with tenants. We won't we won't put tenants that we feel are a liability for owners into an owner's unit. So we won't put them in there.
Probably more of them, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yes. As we discussed on the last episode, with the lack of being able to check references and stuff like that. Yeah. But again, as discussed, we do have a blacklist for owners and tenants. Okay, so
the references come from one: if we have an owner that's treated a tenant unfairly,
they
will be removed. The same if a tenant has caused problems within a tenancy to their property manager.
That's it.
They will no longer be referred to brought to owners, and we have the right to do that.
So again, renting your property as an owner for a reputable company, you are getting another level. We can't guarantee tenants. No. Obviously, you have to make your own decision, and the same for owners. We can't guarantee owners. But come back to the emotional side, 9 times or 99.9% of the times, the problems arise not from contract, from emotions and wishing to remove the contracts from an agreement, which doesn't work.
So here's a question for you. We've talked about who the tenant should contact. Okay. What about if you're the property manager and the tenant hasn't paid their rent? Should they contact the agent or the tenant?
Tenant only.
Yeah.
Okay. The property manager contacts the tenant directly.
Okay.
If you don't contact your agent to chase the rent, that's not their responsibility. And if we had it in the past, they come and say, "Oh, my tenant hasn't paid the rent for 4 months. Why have you not noticed?" Hang on, we're not privy to your accounts. We haven't got any information like that. So your question is, why haven't you checked your account? You could do with a property manager. You know?
There's some other situations like that, though, isn't there? Like, can you tell them to clean their air cons? There's lots of situations where it's not just the tenant to the owner or the property manager. It's the property manager
has to understand their role.
Yes.
Okay.
Have you done the TM30? No, of course we haven't. Yeah. Okay. Will you do the TM30? No, we won't.
Yeah. As the agent, yeah. No,
yeah. So, and I suppose a key point is that obviously one, we said right at the beginning, when we're showing properties, we will be explaining what we manage and what we don't manage. But at the end of the day, for an owner needs to know what we're doing. Okay.
And they sign a listing agreement.
They sign a listing agreement now. So, but then once someone comes to contract, what would be the difference? How would they know whether Perfect Homes manage the property or not?
We have our own direct contracts.
Okay, so it will say on the contract, Perfect Homes
Property Management.
Yes.
Here's your list of contacts on a direct owner's contract, even presented by Perfect Homes, the rental agency. It has the owner's direct contact. It is on your contract who to contact.
If it's a managed property, it will say, you know, the tenant's name between Perfect Homes Management on behalf of the owner's name. The owner's name is the only information that the tenant will receive. Absolutely. No other information. Okay. If it's a non-managed property, it will be between a tenant and the owner, who is then the property manager. You will have the owner's bank details. You will have the owner's contact information, and so on, because they will be managing your property. Anyway, I think we've covered it. We go around a little bit.
We promised not to talk as long as last week, but that was a very interesting subject. Thank you for all the people that have viewed on that. With regards to property management from an owner's point of view, if you were looking for property management, there's a link below in our descriptions, okay? Or just hit the contact us on our on our Facebook on our website, perfecthomes.co.th, or in our YouTube description. There is the contact details and everything like that. From tenants, just stay in contact, get talking to us, be clear on which services you require, and be clear on the understanding of what services you will be getting and who from. So that is our main one. Next week's topic, we're working on that at the moment, but we're going to start talking about how to buy for passive income, buying condos for passive income, buying condos for active income, and buying condos for living in here in Chiang Mai. So that's going to be another episode very soon. We are also going to start pushing out our property review section of our live TV. Hopefully our first one will go midweek towards the end of the week here Perfect Homes, where we will be using our 360 tours to guide you around condos, areas and locations, and talk to more about 2 or 3 properties within an episode. Okay, hopefully I'll be pushing that out. I won't be dragging Paul along from that one. I will be dragging along one of my lovely agents, and she will be talking to us as well. Much better looking than Paul. Sorry, mate.
It's not hard.
Okay, but that's where we're going. So I think for today's episode, I would like to say thank you very much.
Yep, thanks very much. Really enjoyed it again, and look forward to the next time.
Keep the emails coming in, and I would say Sawadee Cup from us here in Chiang Mai. Thank you.